Doing too much today. How you doing, brother?
Chilling, chilling. You're all good. Just sitting here live. Himmy, let me know because I know that's who's watching right now. Let me know if you can hear him. Let me know if you can hear him. Send that to me, and then I'm sending your Twitter account. You mind if I put your Twitter account on like the main
Yeah,
page
for
right
sure. Do
now?
your thing.
All right, bet. Because I want you guys to see who this is. I was thinking about, all right, how do I want to do the intro for this person? Because I'm always, whenever you bring a guest on, whenever you interview someone, you have to have an intro. And I thought the best way to do this is, or just say this is a 2025 journalist. If you watch any of my stuff, you know I say I major in journalism. Journalism doesn't really exist anymore because if you have an opinion in a platform and you're able to back that opinion up online and get people to like it, you are a journalist. You're me. I went to school for 4 years. I paid for a degree and I love it. But if you go online and are able to do what I'm doing, you are the same thing that I consider myself to be, a journalist, and that is who this person is. I'm going to bring the camera over now so they can see you. And I'm seeing, how is this going to work? How is this going to work? It might be a little weird on stream, but just introduce him to yourself. This is Shane. I'm going to put his Twitter account up here. I am introducing him as a journalist. He's someone who's on social media a lot. He talks about sports. He talks about trending topics. He talks about news. How would you describe yourself to the people?
Brother, I'm just somebody that is in the know, man. I had two cool ass parents
Yeah.
and they kind of taught me the do's and don'ts of young money. And since then, I've just, tried to be on the right side of history. I always try to uh, I don't want to have the first opinion. I just want to
Yeah.
have the most thought out and the most I don't know, just I don't want to just be a person that just talks out of his ass. You know what I'm saying? So I just that's why I fuck with you, fuck with your brother because you guys are very you come from good families, very eloquent. You care about what you say and how you're perceived, and that is something that I care about as well. So we are definitely aligned there. And I like that you said like a 2025 journalist because like I definitely agree that like if you have an opinion and you can back it up and you can kind of like stand on it, then that's what you are. That's literally where we at in 2025.
And I feel the exact same way. I mean, that's all journalism really is. And even now with the internet, you can go and you can do your research the same. You can talk to anyone. So that's something big I always say. And it's funny you saying you not. I like that. You're not wanting to be the first person to say something. You're wanting to be right. I just had something on stream like a week ago where I was talking about Israel and Palestine. We weren't even getting to that. And I don't know
Oh,
if
I
you.
would love that. I would love like I like, bro. I'm not a one trick pony. I like to talk about whatever. I like to find out when I'm wrong. I like to just I don't know, like there's no topic that I'm just not interested in. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Then all right, then say less. I don't tell me that because I could talk about anything. But you guys see this right now. This is his Twitter account. Go follow him at HollywoodShane. He has great takes. I mean, one of the biggest things that I was like, okay, I want to talk to this guy on live is seeing your football takes, and really all of them. But a lot of your football takes during the football season surprised me. I agree with some of them. Some of them I don't agree with, but I don't see anybody else saying them. So that's something I really do appreciate. Or
Okay, I
that's
appreciate that.
yeah,
I
that was one
appreciate
of the
that.
things I appreciate or really noticed when I was first just seeing like how much you just tweeted, and I was like, okay, this is more than just tweeting. Like he cares about saying a real opinion. But for this episode, for the
Sorry, Garrett.
first
I'm putting
time,
my
nah, you're good. Do your
AirPods
thing.
in.
For this episode, or for our first stream together, and let me make sure. I'm gonna try to have you up. I'm messing up. I tried to do this new thing on Zoom with the Twitch to make it so it would show my screen, but as I'm doing this live, I'm
Yeah.
thinking this might not have been the way. Because if you could see the stream, or you'll see it whenever you go back and look at it, it's like it has my screen and you, but I have to put you up manually. So I'm just gonna keep moving you
Yeah.
back and forth, but we'll make
Oh,
it
it's
work,
all
and then
good.
I'll
As
get
long as I don't
better.
look crazy, bro.
Nah, you look fine. All right. So we're gonna go in to the first story. We're talking about football now. If you know me,
Okay.
Garrett's football show. I had a football show that I did about 2 years ago. I'm a big football fan, and throughout the football season, I'm streaming all the time now. That's gonna be just a regular thing. So we're gonna have a lot of football commentary. And the first thing we want to talk about, or I want to talk about, is a story that you sent to me about a couple of days ago, and it's from the Pablo Torre Finds Out podcast. Shane, I'm about to do a quick intro on this. Um,
Do you think?
if I miss anything or if there's something important, interrupt me. Say, but basically, Pablo Torre and I always say names wrong. If you know him, he's been on ESPN a lot. Like I watch him on ESPN on, I forget the show it is, where they have everybody like talking on like a line and like you
Around
have
the
to
horn.
around the horn. He was on Around the Horn. That's where I known him from. Now he has his own show, and I'm not used to the podcast. I'm about to start listening to it now because of the episodes that Shane sent me. But he,
It's a fantastic, sorry to interrupt you. It's a fantastic podcast. And you being someone that is interested in media and specifically journalism, he does a remarkable job of like just the investigative part of journalism, just someone that just actually cares about finding out the things that they don't really want you to find out. You would really love the pod. Anybody that cares about stuff like that will really like his podcast.
and interrupt whenever you want to. I mean, and that's perfect because I could tell just from the first episode, like he's about investigative journalism and investigative sports journalism. So the story that he brought to, or the story that I was brought to me on his podcast, and it's on YouTube too, you should really go look at it, is about the NFL Players Association. And if I could describe it in a sentence, it's the owners of the NFL colluding and talking together to basically not give players fully guaranteed contracts. Basically, Deshaun Watson fucked the game up. Everybody knows that when he got the full guaranteed contract to the Cleveland Browns around March of 2022. The only reason I remember that is because I just listened to the podcast. So that happened, and the NFL owners were basically talking about, we have to fix this. We can't let this happen. At the same time, there is the leader of the NFL Players Association that was kind of at the end of everything, was keeping this information on wraps, essentially to protect himself because he didn't want it to come out that he was talking about Russell Wilson. So now with this story, there's a couple names that I just want to get off the bat right now because these are going to be the names that we're talking about while we talk about this. And one of those, let me show his picture on stream because, you know, I always like to say I don't like to just give names without for you guys to be able to see a face. So JC Treader. JC Treader is the guy that basically was trying to keep this all to himself, or keep the collusion from the NFL owners, keep that out of the public because he didn't want it to also be found out that he was talking shit about the players that he is supposed to have their best interest at heart. So JC Treader, former NFL player and the leader of a part of the Players Association that was made specifically for him, and it was made specifically for him by another guy named Lloyd Howell. Lloyd Howell is a guy that
Lloyd Howell's a piece of shit.
Lloyd Howell, it does seem like he is a piece of shit from everything that I've seen. This is the picture of him right here. He is a guy that basically got the job as the executive director of the Players Association by doing, as you said, Shane, I using a word you use, quid pro quo. So let me explain this. JC Treader, the guy that we just talked about, he had the power to pull who was going to be the next executive director. And usually, stop me if I'm wrong, if I'm describing it wrong, usually when they have the new executive director of the NFL, it's a very big job, but it's not in private, the hiding of like, who are the people that could get this job, who's on the list, and how this whole process of vetting and everything goes. It's usually public, and nobody cares about it. I've never cared about who's the executive director of the Players Association. Have you?
But the thing is, hold up. So when I was a senior in high school,
Okay.
the NFL had a lockout. And the
Okay, you
lockout
talked
was
about this.
basically to because there were certain things that they just didn't agree, just how much money was being split. As Pablo Torre said, basically, there's no sport that is as good as making money as the NFL, and that's pretty obvious. So they
Yeah.
were I think they were trying to take 65% of the pie or 70% of the pie, and the players just weren't going. So there was a little bit of a lockout. So
Yeah.
that's when I first kind of got into the idea of, okay, there's a job of, because I mean, when we were in high school, we didn't know about unions. We didn't know, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
what this person's job. We didn't know any of that. So that's when I heard of DeMaurice Smith. And when I come to find out he's a black dude, you know, obviously you see a job, and you know what I mean, as a young kid, you admire people that have these roles that you never really see, you know what I mean, people that have these powerful roles in an organization like the NFL like this. So
Exactly.
I'm going off of what you said. Basically, this job is a fairly new job. The NFL is 105 years old. I think the players union is 40 to 50 years old. So there hasn't been too many people to have this job. It's a very uh, the job is a job that anybody, like a lot of people would want to have. So to your
Yeah.
point of, this isn't something that, like, the way
A
they
lot
did
of
it
people
was
would
kind
care
of
about.
crazy versus, yeah, it's like a lot of people would care about this. So go ahead, do your thing.
So yeah, and mentioning DeMaurice Smith, he's one of the people that is important. He, like you just said, he was the executive director of the NFL PA in Players Association. I don't know why I couldn't think of that for a second. Before Lloyd Howe. So okay, how did Lloyd Howe get this job? Basically, J.C. Treader changed a little bit of the rules or the operation of how this job has even gotten it. He put it in the shadows. He had the people that vote. There's like a voting board of people that decide who the next executive director is going to be. They usually have the information on the candidates a long time beforehand. Like, this is just like a lot of bureaucratic bullshit, it kind of sounds like me, that, you know, you don't really ever care about because you just don't. But then J.C. Treader making everything so different, I think, is what started people looking at this like, what is he doing? And when I say making things different, he was basically saying the people who vote on who the next executive director is going to be, they found out who the candidates are like hours before they vote on it. They had no information about the people. And J.C. Treader was basically, let me put his picture back up because, again, I'm a big believer of, you should see a face behind these names of the people that are doing these things quietly to try to be fucked up, I guess. Just the quickest way to say
it. Definitely.
So J.C. Treader flexed his power to basically make the people vote for this guy, Lloyd Howe, to be the executive director. Okay, that's a little fucked up enough. And let me make this quicker because I want to get into the back and forth. So I'm gonna start speeding a little bit quicker now. So J.C. Treader uses his power to make Lloyd Howe the executive director. And then right after that, of course, Lloyd Howe, in his powers of executive director, gives J.C. Treader a new job that has never been heard of before. That wasn't a job. It was called like the chief strategy, some type of like acronym, the chief strategy. Do you remember what it was?
Some bullshit. It was just like chief executive strategizer or some shit that you just, if you want to give a friend a job, that was the title of the job.
Exactly. Let me see in the Collusion case. Are they gonna have it in Google? Like, I'm always looking on Google. J.C. Treader job.
Just look up his just look up J.C. Treader job with NFLPA, because I know he was the leader of the Players Association, but he had to retire. That's one thing that to also say is you have to be an active player to be the head of the Players Association. So for a long time in the NBA, Chris Paul was the head of the Players Association. And then it goes to someone else, and it goes to someone else. But it does always have to be an active player.
Which is important.
Which is very important. Yeah.
Exactly. I'm glad you said that because he was a player. He got let go from the Browns, and then that started this whole thing where he couldn't be the leader of the Players Associations anymore. And I looked it up. He was the former, from his position is withdrawn, chief strategy. He was a chief strategy officer. So the CSO is what he was at the NFLPA. And he got this job. Well, let Lloyd Howe tell it. He might say that he got this job because he deserves it. Let anybody with a realistic thought tell it. He got the job for getting Lloyd Howe the job. Quid pro quo. So this happens. Okay, you might be mad at this. And when I was looking into the episodes or listening to the episodes, I was like, okay, this is crazy. But then it gets into another conversation that leads into the whole Deshaun Watson. You might be thinking, Garrett, you talked about Deshaun Watson like 20 minutes ago. Why haven't you brought him back up? Okay, everybody knows Deshaun Watson got the fully guaranteed contract in 2022, fucked the game up, and since then, people have been trying to get guaranteed contracts, and there was conversations about a lawsuit happened, and there was a conversation around a bunch of NFL owners getting together and saying, how do we stop these fully guaranteed contracts? How do we work for each other because we're on the same team? Of course, the NFL owners all got to, when they were in court, and this is in the court of arbitration, which I've talked about on this episode. I've talked about on this show. I want to do like a episode about it. The court of arbitration sounds absolutely fucked up. It's behind closed doors. You don't know what's happening, and you can't appeal. It's just so much different from different court. It's so much different from the court we all know. But they were in this lawsuit, and the NFL owners were like, "We're not colluding together. We're not working together. We're trying to win the Super Bowl. We're all trying to win the Super Bowl. We're ops." It's basically what they're saying. Everybody knows that's not the case. And it basically, through proof of 3 quarterbacks, they found out that, in fact, the NFL owners were talking together to try to keep owners from getting guaranteed contracts. One of these is Lamar Jackson. Why can't I think of his name? The quarterback of the Cardinals.
Kyler Murray and Russell Wilson.
Russell Wilson, Kyler Murray, Lamar Jackson, and Russell Wilson were the main three quarterbacks, and they all have their own story. Lamar was the biggest one to me because it was so easily to put myself back in that mindset. So what's going on with the Lamar situation? Everyone remembers when he was trying to get the contract, he asked to be released from the Ravens, or was not to be released, but trying to get a trade. He asked to be traded, and absolutely nobody in the NFL made a call for him, and everybody was like, well, okay, this is top three best quarterbacks in the league, in my opinion. You could even say top best quarterback in the league, and it'd be a debate.
He was the best quarterback available.
Exactly. And nobody called for him, which was one of the big staple points that they used to say, okay, these guys are colluding together. Another one, which was, I think, a little bit more obvious to me to kind of run from, was the Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray was trying to get a new contract. He saw the Deshaun Watson contract. His agent went and contacted the front office or whoever's up top of the Cardinals and said, we need a new contract. We deserve this money. If he deserves this money, they didn't give it to him. And there's a text thread between the owner of the Cardinals and the owner of the Chargers, whose quarterback is Justin Herbert. And they were basically like, good shit. You didn't give him the fully guaranteed contract. You wrapped the contract up in a bunch of, what is it called? Like when you have to do these things to get your contract. Why can't I think of the word of it? Incentives. They wrapped it up in a bunch of incentives. And basically they said, good job. This makes the Cardinals look better and me look better because I'm keeping him from this. And it helps out the entire league. And there's text messages of that.
Garrett, he literally said in the messages, good job. Now, he said, you helped me, so I won't have to pay Herbert X amount of dollars. So that's the collusion right there. It's literally the collusion. And to follow back, I don't know which one of the owners it was, but they were saying, hey, like, why would I call this person if we both trying to win a Super Bowl, like you mentioned earlier? Like,
yes.
And this clearly shows, like, yes, like you guys are, it's y'all out for, everybody wants to win, but it's all a big, it's a club. You know what I'm saying? It's like everybody wants to be able to, everybody wants to win, but we out for self first.
Exactly. Everybody wants to win, but at the end of the day, like you said, it's a club, it's a fraternity. There's only 32 people in the world that have that experience. So I think it's kind of idiotic to think that they wouldn't be working together, but this case pretty much proves that they are, right?
Absolutely.
And with that, now let's mix these two things together. This initial story. And when I was listening to the podcast, I was like, okay, where are they getting with this? Let's mix these two.
No, but it was amazing, Garrett, how he like looped us from here to then there and then like tied it together. I was like, oh, this is great because you can't talk about one side of the story without talking about the other side of the story.
Which literally, because at first when I was listening to it, because you sent it to me and I was like, okay, this is really good. But they started at one place and then completely went somewhere else for like the rest of the episode. And I was like, okay, why is this JC Treader guy? Why does he matter?
How are they looping this? Yeah.
And which is another thing, like as someone that like does shows and appreciates like now when I watch shows and watch TV, I don't just watch the show. I think, okay, what went into making that, the different clips, the putting it together, the
production. You're saying yourself as a producer. Literally.
And I'm like, okay, just listening to that episode one time made me a fan of Pablo Torre in a way that the ESPN show I keep forgetting never did.
Wait, hold up. You know something? So there's another Pablo Torre podcast, and this is a whole nother conversation that you and I could get into. We're not going to do it now because we're going to go down a rabbit hole. But basically, you're familiar with Bill Simmons, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so Bill Simmons called out Pablo Torre about his investigation into Bill Belichick. And that's what got me on because I listened to Bill Simmons' podcast. So Bill Simmons had Pablo Torre on his podcast after calling him out. They had like this public spat. And then he comes onto the podcast and completely eviscerates Bill Simmons. And I was like, oh, shit. Oh, wow. I know this Pablo Torre dude, but I'm a big fan of him now because he stood on business, and he actually, you know what I mean? He killed him on his own platform. And then I didn't know Pablo Torre is a Harvard graduate. He literally is one, like, he was going to go to law school. He decided not to do this. I'm like, we're dealing with someone that's extremely intelligent, obviously, but someone that's driven, someone that has the drive and the motivation to actually get this shit done. So like now it's like, oh, this guy, he is one of them when it comes to like journalism because and not only like with the journalism, it's the production. Because you said like we agreed, like how he went from this side of it to this. It was almost like he was playing tennis with himself.
Literally. And even when you were listening to it, Mike Florio, just hearing you talk about the lawyer, you could tell Mike Florio, this is production with me, because it's like you say, how much do you tell the guest beforehand? I'm a big believer of not as little as possible without not letting them sit down and feeling like you just bombarded them. Because you want them to be surprised. You want them to maybe think you're an idiot. You want them to have whatever emotions are real. And you could tell Pablo Torre said, this is what we're doing. But he didn't show him every single piece of information that he had beforehand. So that was just, I mean, one of the amazing parts of it to me as well was just as we were doing this tennis, going back and forth on what was going on, the same thing was happening with the guest on the show, which is Mike Florio. And if you've watched, like, I see Mike Florio on everything a lot. He's on ESPN a lot, but it's almost like he was right on the tennis match, as like you said, back and forth with us, because there was times where you could tell he didn't know what was coming next, but he was aware of the situation, which I thought was really cool. While
it was awesome. It was awesome to see. Like he knew.
Let me get him.
Like the nuance of it, you know?
Yeah. But he didn't know the production of this is where we're doing step A to Z. So yeah.
Exactly.
So production amazing. Pablo Torre, amazing. Pablo Torre, really the biggest shout out to him. Go watch that show, and I'm going to be watching it as well. But how do we mix these two things together, right? The JC Treader, the guy that is wanting to be the leader, who got this weird job made for him, and who basically got this weird job made for him. I almost let myself lose my train of thought, but I didn't. Got this weird job made for him, got someone hired, and is basically trying to become the executive director of the PA. How does he, and again, the Players Association is the union for the NFL. So basically, everyone that knows about unions, in the shortest term, I mean, sometimes on stream, I'll post clips and people will be like, you describe this awfully, you're an idiot. So if I'm describing this bad, Shane, you can do it better. But basically, unions are basically just fighting, lobbying for the people that work for them and trying to get them the best money, the best resources, the best benefits, everything they can get as a
long term. And it's long term and short term. So it's for people that may retire and, you know, talking about pensions, things of like family, like healthcare, just things like that. These are the people that you want fighting for you if you work for this organization, long story short.
Perfect. People you want fighting for you. So this is the NFL version of that, and this is the guy that is the strategy, whatever of it, and got the executive director hired. And now at the same time, around March of 2022, there's a story we talked about with not wanting to give these football players, these great NFL quarterbacks, fully guaranteed contracts. And this was a lawsuit in the Court of Arbitration, which is really, I know I'm saying that wrong, which is really secret, you don't know about, and none of this has came out. And that the NFL won the case. Oh, yeah, go.
Are you familiar with like what the arbitrator does?
The arbitrator is basically the judge, right? They basically decide, they listen to everything and decide how it works, or what the final thing is going to be.
So basically what happens is if there's a disagreement, there's a party that the NFL will hire or the NFLPA would hire, and the other party has to agree that we like this person. So it's a completely neutral person. It's a mutually beneficial, like for both of them to obviously have someone that is that's completely unbiased, and they can just kind of look at it for what it is and then kind of go from there. So the that's what it went to. They went to arbitration because it's kind of like you ever heard in baseball when a player's contract goes into arbitration?
No,
you know, are you familiar with how they're? So basically, long story short, they don't have a traditional free agency. Their free agency is a little bit different. Sometimes it might take 1 year, sometimes it might take 3 years, but sometimes depending on how good, like Aaron Judge went to arbitrator. He went to an arbitrator to get his contract, but obviously Aaron Judge was outperforming his contract so well that the arbitrator could look at this and be like, no, he deserves this. So it's a completely unbiased person that gets to look at the situation and be able to speak to it and, you know, be able to pick a side.
Okay. And thank you. Way better than I was going to describe it. And that's who they had doing this case, right? And they decided that there was, stop me if I'm wrong, there was no absolute proof that the NFL was colluding against these players. But there was a 60-page document that came out of this that if the players looked at it and if the average person looked at it, it could have potentially be used to help these players get better contracts. So why wouldn't you would think naturally, okay, maybe they didn't win in court, but they could use this document to get their contracts, which is the goal anyways. So the Players Association should be wanting to put this out into the world, and they weren't. And this is when it got interesting to me because once this happens, it's like the part of the mystery story where you're just looking, okay, I've read enough. Who did it or why? The why became really important to me. The why, and I'm just guessing. Like I like guessing what could the why be or who did it. And I couldn't guess it at all. It's for such a stupid reason. J.C. Treader essentially was talking shit about Russell Wilson, who was going through his own contract negotiations with the Seattle Seahawks around this time, asking for a contract that he would end up not getting before he went to the Broncos. And J.C. Treader, who works in the PA, was talking to the former executive director, who you talked about a couple minutes ago, probably like 10 minutes, Maurice, what's his name?
DeMaurice Smith.
DeMaurice Smith. DeMaurice Smith, the former executive director of the PA, was talking to J.C. Treader, and J.C. Treader was basically, it sounded like saying all the things that everybody says about Russell Wilson. He's soft. He's annoying. You could say about it. Everybody knows the Russell. You know, if you've been on Twitter for any time, you know Russell Wilson. And he basically didn't want this document to go out because that part of the document would make him look bad, and it would stop him from getting the job that he wants down the line, which is the executive director. Because why are you the executive director trying to talk about or trying to do its best for the players, and you're sitting here bashing them? And I think Russell Wilson has a pretty high level in the Players Association as well. Is that right? But even if not,
I know Russell Wilson is a laugh, like he's a joke sometimes, but he's
yeah,
well respected. Like you know what I mean. So like when you talk about like he's one of the only black quarterbacks to ever win a ring, like there's a lot of reverence like to Russell, even though people might find him corny. He is respected at the end of the day. So it's just not somebody as the deputy or the head of the players association. It's not a good look to talk about him. So when you do talk about him and it's on paper and it's in court documents, it shows that like you probably should not have this job.
and fair enough. And keep in mind, Pablo Torre and Mike Florio broke this entire story. And since the week that has gone on, well, it's been a month ago, because I looked at the date. It's been a month since that first episode. But over the last week, J.C. Treader stepped down from his makeshift job that was given to him. Lloyd Howe, I was looking into it. I think Lloyd Howe stepped down as well, right? You're muted right now. I think you're muted.
I think they stepped down the same day. I think it was the 17th because I want to say it was the day that the second pod came out. Um, they were like they kind of ran their victory lap to be honest.
And they definitely did because they didn't say too much different from the first to second, but both of them are really good.
Yeah, I honestly, I'm me being a Ravens fan and me being a Lamar Jackson fan. I ain't really fucking with Mike Florio, but it showed me one. I didn't even know he was a lawyer
Yeah,
before this all came out. But then as he got to talking, I was like, oh, he knows exactly what he's talking about. He's
yeah,
completely equipped to have. He's a journalist and he's a lawyer, so he's literally the perfect person to actually have this conversation. And what I thought was dope about the whole situation is they both were trying to get the story first and
yeah.
he tipped his cap to dude just because he's like, oh well, I appreciate you getting it first, is what he was saying.
Exactly, which you have to respect because that was another part that was interesting. Because Mike Floyd was talking about like he was saying if he couldn't get it, he was gonna look into going to agents of different players and basically saying to the different like the agents saying like, hey, make this a big deal so maybe someone will listen. So this was a big deal trying to get this out to the people. And I guess we're pretty much caught up on it. Let me just ask, what was it about this that was so interesting to you? Because when I first started listening to this, the players, the NFL owners working together and colluding for contracts and shit, that wasn't surprising to me. The fact that they were able to find proof of it was interesting, but you would assume that's going on in every single organization around the world, right?
I think the most interesting part of the entire thing to me was the players have been fighting for this specific thing for all of this time. Like even before
Mm-hmm.
Deshaun Watson got his contract, we've
Yeah.
seen players like we've seen Le'Veon Bell, we've seen Shady McCoy, we've seen players that like specifically the running back position because they get hit the most. They fought for these guaranteed deals, and for them to be at the precipice, to be at the finish line, and to have it, literally have the proof that they needed, and for it to just go away because of one man's ambitions and his
Yeah.
just the selfishness that he had. I thought
Mm-hmm.
that that was completely wild, and I thought that just outside of the journalism part, because I enjoyed them, having like going this far and
Yeah.
being able to unravel the story, but just how much he thought of himself that he would never get caught for something like this is insane to me. And then what was crazy too is the Lloyd Howe guy.
Yeah.
You didn't even talk about the company that he came from
Yep.
before he got the job.
Yep.
They are literally paying the highest fraud settlement in United States history.
Yeah.
Like literally, he was the CEO of a company that had to pay the highest fraud settlement in the country's history. So you don't even really vet this person. Like he just did a shit show job of his job, and for like players like Lamar Jackson and who else signed a contract recently? Lamar,
Justin Herbert.
Justin Herbert signed.
I think Jordan Love
Shit,
because he got paid
Jordan
way too
Love,
much.
even anybody that is like coming up next, for you to not be able to have a guaranteed deal or even negotiate it because this man had so much fucking gall. Like that, just like I just it was befuddling me. I literally I couldn't do anything but laugh when I was listening to the podcast.
And it was funny to me too, and it's like all of this just for this little piece, and then kind of getting in. I didn't get it all into the Lloyd Howe. It looks like, okay, he was the CFO of Booz Allen, and this was a big part of it because
Mm-hmm.
it just shows he should have never had this job. The company had to pay out a $377 million in a fraud settlement with the U.S. Department of Justice. It was also revealed yesterday that Howe was sued for sexual discrimination and retaliation while at the company. So that's just a little bit of extra
He
sauce
is
on
a
it.
piece of shit. He is a
Yes.
terrible human being. And I don't even like talking about I don't like talking about people like that, but I don't,
Yeah.
let alone like a fellow black man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like this is a dude that had a position of like just power in
Yes.
our culture, and people didn't even know who he was. And this is what you do with it? Like, come on, bro.
Use it to the absolute, and not only does he do shady things in his past job, the podcast gets into the shady things that he did while, well, shady, I guess, depending on how you look at it. But if you want to get into that, or I could get into it, the shady things that he did during his time as a PA with having like a side hustle and private
Oh yeah, so
equity.
he's so the NFL has a problem with uh private equity owning some of the parts of the team. So
Yes.
it is a complete conflict of interest if the person that is on the player's side, a person that has the player's best interest, also is working with private equity firms to buy stakes in teams. Like it's a complete
Yes.
like it's literally you're playing both sides of the fence.
In the podcast, the guy was saying, "Oh my gosh, the Carlisle group." As you're talking, I'm like looking things
Yes.
up. The Carlisle group is the side hustle that he did, and while he's getting questioned about this, he's like saying, "Well, this is dealing with the NFL. I'm working over in some other department that has nothing to do with the NFL." Just like some like absolute just reason that like you just have to laugh at it if you're in the room talking to him. Like if that's your answer, that's your thing as to why this isn't a conflict of interest. It's just a story that could be a nothing burger if it wasn't based off of one childish person became one of the biggest stories in football, I'd say, over this week. And just taking a look at how the NFL Players Association is going to have to make a lot of changes in the upcoming years. I
Oh,
feel like that's
absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. And the person that does it is just gonna have to like take make sure that the players association is as in lockstep with each other as the owners are with each other. Does that make sense?
Exactly. It makes perfect sense. And yeah, keep going.
Yeah, I just think that like the owners are like it's kind of like two gangs beefing, and one gang is like, yeah, we locked in. Like we know that there's nothing. It could be girls, it could be money, it could be whatever. We locked in regardless. But the other team, there's fractures. There's like, oh, well, some of them only care about money, some of them care
Yep.
about girls. We can infiltrate them,
Yep.
and at the end of the day, we have the ability to have all the power at the end of the day because they are not as tied in as we are. You gotta think
these billionaire owners, their families have been friends for years. So it's not
Yes.
even just the people that are in charge now. It's like, yo, your grandfather and my grandfather were tied in, so we definitely gonna be tied in, and our kids are gonna be tied in. That's just a
Yeah.
lineage that they have to worry about versus the players. All the players only care about themselves. Like it's
Yes.
messed up to say the players don't care about the players 10 years from now, 15 years from now, 20. They don't give a fuck, and it's messed up. But that's just what it is, and that's the difference between generational wealth
Yeah.
and just
New wealth.
being wealthy. Yeah, new money and old money. That's what I'm saying.
Exactly. And this story is amazing. Go listen to Pablo Torre. I mean, at this point, we talked for about 30 minutes, so maybe we just gave like a spark notes on it. But go listen to the Pablo Torre. It's amazing. And it's just insane to think about. And one thing I'm going to be looking at with this that's interesting to me is I want to see who's the next quarterback to get a fully guaranteed contract. That's what's interesting to me about this is who's going to be next, because there's going to be someone.
See, Garrett, I don't think that it's going to happen for a long time now.
Really?
I think that they
You
just,
think this hurts it?
fucked it up. Yeah, I think they just fucked it up. I think that because you got to think, man, Lamar Jackson, top, arguably, obviously he's top three. So you got to think the top three quarterbacks in the league right now: Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, and Josh Allen.
Say who you want.
All
Josh,
of them, Josh Allen. So all of them are locked into their contracts for the next few years.
That's a good point.
Lamar got a negotiation coming up. Josh Allen just signed his a couple of years ago. But I think that the player that has a fully guaranteed contract is going to be a player that's young, that's exceeding expectations on his current deal, like Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, and Patrick Mahomes. Like if this conversation was had in like 2018, 2019, then I think those three would all have guaranteed deals, because there's no way that if someone sets that precedent before, that they're not going to do it just because they've done it. You know what I mean? They've already showed the work. Patrick Mahomes won a Super Bowl. So they've shown their work where it's like, okay, I deserve this right now. But I don't think that we're going to get another one of those for a long time. That's what I'm saying.
I can see what you're saying. I mean, the way you're just describing it, one of the main people I was picturing in my head was a CJ Stroud. But that's too far. That's too early to say something like that. So I definitely get what you're saying.
Yeah, I was going to say, and I'm a CJ Stroud fan, but CJ Stroud hasn't, like Lamar won MVP his second year starting. You know what I mean? So that's just such a launch pad for what we're talking about. That, you know what I mean? Like, it's just tough. And I think that maybe a Arch Manning, if he just comes, he got the pedigree with the family. But I just don't know who it's going to be, man. Burrow just signed. It's just like we're literally in the golden era of quarterbacks right now. I know we try to think about our childhood, but the quarterbacks now are way better than when we were kids, and none of them have got it. So, like, what do we do from now on?
That is true. And I'm going to answer that question. I want to say, I have the cheap Zoom. There's a minute and 13 seconds left. We could keep talking if you want, or if you have something to do, you can go. But I can send you another Zoom link if you want to get into.
No, how long are you going to be on? I didn't end up getting food. I wanted to kind of talk with you before I sat down, because when you sit down, you never know what's going to happen. So I did want to at least keep my word and get on here at 8:30. But I enjoy listening to you talk. I enjoy speaking with you. So as long as you on here, man, I'll fuck with you. So just I'm gonna shoot you a text when I'm on 3% right now. So that's really what I'm.
Now you're good. And the show's about to end. It's less than 50 seconds. So I'm about to give you.
All right. I'm gonna get with you though. You gonna be on for a minute?
Yeah, I'm about to be on for a little bit longer. Yeah.
All right. Well, yeah, I'm gonna text you in a minute, and then can we just make another one?
Say less. Yeah, we definitely can.
Yeah, I'm locked in with you. I'll see you in a minute.
All right, bet.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, brother.
Of course. Thank you for coming on. I appreciate it.
For sure, bro.
Okay. So, Shane, from just that little conversation that you listened to, I'm sure, you could tell he knows what he's talking about. When I say 2025 journalist, I didn't just pull that out of my ass. Jaden Daniels, shit, I didn't even think about saying that. I wonder about how he would have felt about Jaden Daniels. But go follow him. During the NFL season, like the tweets and just the random things he says, it's great. It's literally like listening like a Substack or like a Medium where you just have like a blogger going on and just talking about it. So he's going to be on stream more. He has a great opinion on things. In this NFL Players Association story, he brought it to me. I'm always telling people all the time, send me things to talk about. I want to talk about them. And it was absolutely amazing. that podcast from Pablo Torre, and he is an investigative journalism. Let me show him this. Okay, so I already sent it to him. Just gonna send this text. Actually, he'll be fine. He sees it. All right. So Players Association, we were gonna get into all the things. I mean, training camp is going on right now, so we're gonna talk about the Ravens. Are the Ravens gonna ever get over the hump? And the hump for the Ravens is the Super Bowl, getting to the Super Bowl. And I assume, because no one from the NFC usually can beat Lamar, that once he gets to the Super Bowl, he's going to win. But we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the Colts. Who's going to be the quarterback? I obviously think it's going to be Daniel Jones. Sorry about that. I know that's going to probably be sad for a lot of Colts fans. I'll get a lot of shit for that. But I'll get the shit in September. Probably not now. And we were going to just talk about who is going to be way too early guesses or bets for who is going to be at the top of each of the NFL divisions, right? Who's going to win the divisions. So if he comes back on stream, we will get to those conversations. We still have them. We haven't forgot about them. If not, we're all good. I have a couple